Oh, and we're back. That's right. We are here for another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour. And I got a big show planned because this is all about open forum. This is all about questions. We are here for you, the audience. And Philip, thank you for joining on YouTube because unfortunately, I cannot write comments to LinkedIn. StreamYard doesn't let me. I can see yours. I just can't respond to them. So thank you for joining us over here on YouTube. And Andrea, Carrie, as always, thank you for joining. Make sure you all like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz if you ain't done it yet, and share this stream because we're here and we're going to get some questions answered. Now, before we get started, you know the deal. I always got to show you what this show is. So give me 10 seconds and we'll be right back. Oh, hey, we're back again. And guess what? Now we have my guest, Javier Santos. Javier actually joined back when I had Mrs. Tarver on because I am not going to butcher her name and she can yell at me all she wants. I refuse to do it. Back when I had her on, Javier joined the stream, reached out to me. Andrea expressed an interest in being on. And this is how I knew I was going to like Javier. Because Javier was like, oh, no, if Andrea's wants to be on, she needs to come on first. Because he knows, like I know, this show is about newcomers, helping those out in industry that are trying to break through, break in, and get their questions answered. So he let Andrea have the spotlight. And it was an amazing episode. If you didn't watch Andrea's episode, go back and watch it after this stream because it was awesome. Now, Javier, now that you're here, you've been introduced. Please give us a little rundown about yourself and why cybersecurity and bringing newcomers in is so important.
Okay. Can you hear me? First of all, audio check.
Loud and clear.
Good to go. Okay. So, first of all, why cybersecurity is important. I'm going to get straight to the point of what I call phishing for cyber folks. What I see in the industry now is that we seem to be fishing from the same cyber pool, so to speak. So too many times do I see people that I saw at one job, I see them at the next job, and so on and so on. I see people in the same organization go from a SOC across the hall to a NOC in the same building. So I'm just like, well, how are we growing the cyber force if we keep, fishing from the same pool? So with that said, that's why I'm like, we need to do what we used to do back in the day when cyber first started, is reach out to that talent, to people who were interested. Now I'm not saying open the doors and the floodgates to just anybody, but there's a lot of potential out there, candidates that I see that are thriving to get into this industry, want to break into the industry, and there's always that question: well, how do I come in? Forums like this are a huge plus that opens doors for this. People like us that go out and see what other people might not see, for that diamond in the rough to bring them in to the fold, so to speak. But I don't look inside the pool of other cyber folks. 'Cause I'm like, you guys are already cyber. You guys, just like myself, have been through the courses, been to the training. So let's look at outside of that scope to look at those folks that are trying to break in and help them get in, because it's nothing more discouraging. And I'm sure people have gone through this, of thousands or hundreds of applications only to get turned down, not invited to interview, because they're like, oh well, you don't have X amount of years of experience, or you don't have this. But how are you going to get that experience if they don't hire you? It's a vicious cycle. And I'm here to tell you, persistence is key. So that's my view on things, that we need to look outside of our cyber pool and fish outside that pool, so we could bring people in, bring that fresh talent in, because those up and comers will later on be the cyber leaders, because we're not going to be here forever.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the big things, it's that was what I wanted to revamp my show too, right? I wanted people that wanted to make a name for themselves, wanted to break through, wanted to break in. There's so much fear of getting in front of a camera, but unfortunately, a lot of your good roles and a lot of your well-paying roles are going to be client-facing in one way or another, right? Either within the organization, you're going to have to interact with IT and your executives or help desk, whatever. You're going to have to interact with people and put your face out there and put a name to it. And if you become a consultant, you're going to have to interact with all these different clients, and your face is going to be out there. So people are afraid to talk to the general public. And I understand that from someone who, I've always loved public speaking, but I had a lot of friends that didn't like it, that were afraid of it. And, with that, it becomes hard. So that is why when Andrea came on and we talked, and we had an amazing conversation, and Mrs. Tarver came on and we talked, we had an amazing conversation. Carrie came on, who's in YouTube chat right now. He's been on the show, and we've had an amazing conversation. These people have been on the show, and they're just trying to break through. And it was someone like yourself or me or someone who's been in it for a while, and if you finally get to that position of being able to hire a junior, you can just look at my show. You can use my show as a way to show your passion and knowledge and everything else, because every other cybersecurity show out there wants the person that's been doing this shit for 15 years. Not the person that's just trying to break through. They want the experienced person that can give knowledge. Well, guess what? Andrea has more knowledge than some people. Misha, who has been on my show, has more knowledge than some people. And to me, that's so vital. So vital is the knowledge that they have, that they've already gained, and nobody wants to give them a chance.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to caveat to that. The other thing is that I see is what's not in textbook. Everybody's like, "Oh, well, you got the certs, good."
Yep.
So that means you could take the test. Not saying that, knocking other people, because I have tons of certs. You got education, you got college, okay, but where's the oomph? Where's the you? What's not on that resume that I'm not seeing that I want to see in my, in my fold? Because that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for you to regurgitate what your resume is. I can read. Now a lot of folks, I've been on that end where you're the one reading the stuff, and you go to interview, and the folks is like, okay, they're repeating what's already on the paper. I'm just like, I already know. Now, chances are there are some managers or hiring people that don't read your resume, which is kind of disturbing for me, because I'm like, I hate going to interview and they ask me stuff that I'm like, that's already, homie, did you not read my paper? I mean, what was the point of me giving you a resume if you're not gonna read it? So that's like, for me personally, that's me. I'm like, I don't want to work for you. I'm like, that tells me that you didn't took the time to find out anything about me. But for the up and comers, the people out there, I'm looking for, what are you bringing to the table? That personality, like those soft skills, or those skills out to think outside the box. You can't think outside the box if you're in the same box with everybody else. But those folks that are coming in, that's transitioning from, like, whether it's HR, medic, school teacher, home. You're at home. I've seen people that, hey, deal with their, they're stay-at-home moms or dads, and they bring to the table life lessons that you cannot learn from a book or from IT. So that's when I'm like, okay, that's when I want to bring in that type of talent. And do you have the drive? Because those of you out there that have the perseverance and the resilience to go through all this type of training that took us years to get to where we're at, and you had the door slammed on you, you just need that one door to open, and then the sky's the limit from there. Because that's what, you stuck around. You didn't say, oh, I failed at this, or I didn't get hired. What was me? I'm done with cyber. Or I failed this test. I'm never going to take it. No, you keep going. That's what we're looking for.
Exactly. And that was the big thing for me with Andrea and Mrs. Tarver and Misha and stuff like that. Carrie, the people that I've had on the show, is these people have passion and a drive and something that is just like they just need their shot. They just need someone to watch what they've done, and they can make it happen. And I think that is something that, unfortunately, our systems today, if you don't network properly, it's still too much of an ATS system. They're looking for those keywords. They're looking for those certifications or letters or degrees or whatever. And if you don't have it, the hiring manager never sees what you've done. They never see you. And so that is where your networking comes into play. And when you do that, you get opportunities that other people miss out on because you've put yourself out there. Mercedes, once again, for you, all those in LinkedIn, hi, how you doing? Thanks for joining us this evening. If you would like to be part of the conversation, I would recommend jumping over to YouTube just because I cannot respond to comments in chat on LinkedIn, unfortunately. But I do see them, so I will try to respond verbally if possible. So thank you. Let's see. So we got a few things here that I want to touch on, and Javier, I'd like your take on it. First and foremost, we've got Misha here. I wanted to get your opinion on this. Speaking of breaking through, I'm debating stopping the bachelor's program I'm going for and working on certs and such. Definitely need to chat with someone about that. Now, she knows my phone, my Discord, it's always open. She can always talk with me. But I'd love your opinion on this, Javier, because you've done a lot with education, much like myself. We both have certifications and degrees. What's your opinion on this and kind of how she's looking to play this one?
Okay. Part of this goes to without knowing what the details, like what college you're going to, what certification you're trying to get to. But one of the things uh, I recommend is doing what's called a trifecta in cyber. And I did this in the military when getting promoted. Three things you got to look at is experience, and of course, that's the difficult one to get, but that's a whole topic by itself. Your academic education as well as your certification education. I do not recommend to anybody to just stop doing your bachelor's and go after your cert, or vice versa. Why not do both? Now, if you can't do both because of the load, okay, well, pick one. But if you're already in your bachelor's program, depending what school you're going to, some schools offer with your bachelor program some of the certifications. For
True.
example, if you're going through a networking, a bachelor's in network IT, well, if some of those courses correlate to CCNA, or some kind of network certification, why not? After you finish that one class, turn around and take the certification that's equivalent to it, or if they already offer that. Because I went through the university I went to, they actually offered some of the certs as part of the curriculum. So you would take your class, you pass your class. At the end, you took the actual vendor
You
cert,
went to
and you.
WGU, didn't you?
I didn't know we could name names. I was like, okay, I want to get a name drop, but you're right. That's
Nah,
exactly
you
what I
can
did.
name drop where you went because
Oh, okay,
WGU
we
is an
good.
awesome program
Yes.
for
Yep.
those that are not already embedded within a curriculum. Um, I don't know how credits transfer. That's my only fear with Misha here is how those credits would transfer into, I've gone to a standard 4-year school and I have these courses already under my belt. Is it possible to transfer them and get into like a WGU type program, which to your point does,
Mhm.
the certifications are embedded within their program.
And some of the way when I got into WGU, some of your credits for like your certifications, as long as you got them recently, transfer over directly. So that just means you don't have to take as many classes as long as they're within a certain time frame. So my recommendation, if you could do both, do both. If you can only handle load of one, take the take the route that looks like you've already started. Like if you're at the beginning, well, and you spend time and effort in it, why not just finish that and then move on to the other one? Or you can do that, and during your breaks, if you're in a traditional university, work on a cert for that particular aspect. So now you have both, and then your experience. Attend forums like this. Do capture the flag events. Do all the stuff that's been recommended that I've heard over and over again, and talk to people in the industry and say, hey, what did you do? Because I mean, that's exactly why we're having this open forum for us to impart some of that knowledge and wisdom. So like, this is what worked for us. This is how what got us here, and you can do it too. And like always, just like you said, your your door is open. So is mine. You got any questions, or how do we do this? That's a good thing about I like about the cyber culture is that we take care of each other within. So whether you're
Most of us.
just starting
Most
out
of
or
us.
you've been here for years, yeah, well, correct, most of us, because there are some shady
You're gonna
folks out
meet
there.
some
But
assholes. You're gonna meet
oh
some elitist assholes. It's gonna happen.
yeah,
But
then
yeah,
look at me, folks.
Misha knows I'm here. We look. I'm the one that brought her on. I made her come on the show. I ain't gonna lie. I made Misha come on the show. I said you're gonna put your face out there, and we're gonna get you known. It's gonna happen. But yeah, to your point, you got to be able to do that. And I do like what Andrea said. Once again, we are all learning, and the day that we stop learning is the day that we need to just exit the workforce. And it's very true. Within this industry, you are learning every day. If you are not learning, you're going to fall behind, and either A, you're going to get fired, or B, you're just going to quit anyways because you stopped learning and growing within the industry, and you're going to get lost and you're going to get left behind. It's just the way it is.
Um, Heads up on LinkedIn. I dropped a link to the YouTube for anybody that wants to chat. So if you happen to be on LinkedIn, you see the post that from earlier. Just look through the comments. That way you can come over on this side of the house and put your comments in the YouTube channel.
Definitely awesome. Um, we got another one here from Philip Patrick. I tell folks to make their resume read like a story. Employ the STAR method or a shortened version of that. It works. Now, I'm going to put the STAR method up because I didn't know what it was. So we're going to go one by one what STAR stands for. Number one, situation. Number two, task. Number three, action. And number four, results. So I think very valid that he's right. This is how a resume should read. Almost like an NCOER for anybody who's been in the military and knows what an NCOER is. That's kind of how it should look. But what's your take, Javier?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what that STAR method or reading like a story, it brings two things to the table, and that's what well, three things. That's number one, it's a different view for the person who's reading it, because you gotta remember when they're receiving resumes, they're receiving hundreds of resumes, and that kind of stands out amongst the other bulleted comments of I've done this, this, and this. Number two, it's quantifiable, and number three is qualitative. So they can see based on the STAR methods, they can see what's been done numerically, and then quality, what's the action that was taken, and say, okay, this person done their homework when they wrote their resume, and then it's not boring to them because otherwise it's just another resume for them to read. And there's no offense on you, it's just that's the nature of the folks who are sit on that side of the table that have to go through all these resumes. If you want to do something that stands out, that's actually a different take that would stand out.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I've asked some of the higher ups, so at some of my other companies I used to work for, when I had to revamp my resume, I was wondering why I wasn't getting looked at for certain roles. So I actually asked directors and executives and things like that, like, hey, what's your resume look like so I can emulate it, so I can work my way up to where you're at. And by doing that, funny enough, your life story basically comes first. And I don't mean your experience and your education. No, 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 no. Who you are comes first because who you are matters more than necessarily the experience. The experience matters, but when the right hiring manager looks at it, the one that cares about his people, that who you are matters more. Are you married? Do you have kids? What are your hobbies? What are your likes, your dislikes? Do you do labs? Do you do research? Do you have a YouTube show? Do you have a blog? All that will matter more to a hiring manager than necessarily your experience, depending on the role. Now, if it's an experienced technical role, I better see that you're doing research and labs. But if it's a junior role, I want to know how you're learning. I want to know more about you as a person because I can teach you those technical skills. Now, next question, Javier. Like we said, open forum. So we got the
Let's do
questions
this.
rolling in. Misha coming through again. How do you emphasize you have the drive when you can't get in the door? Misha, you already did it by being on the show, but Javier, go ahead.
Well, the when I mean being resilient, keeping at it. But some of the key things I see is keeping at it is not just I did a bunch of resumes. It's what else are you doing to get noticed? It's going to be outside of your comfort zone for a lot of us in IT traditional. Because traditional IT for me used to be, hey, put me in front of a computer and leave me alone. Where today it's more, hey, you better have some people skills because you have to interface with folks. But at the same time, if you're not in there, how do you get your name out? It's all about you got to brand yourself, like of have some branding, have some um, getting your voice out there. Now there's ways of doing that, like being on this forum, being on other forums, putting out. Andrea's, I see her do this all the time. Like I think there's not a day that goes by that Andrea doesn't post. I saw this posting. I saw this. I like this person's class. I mean, constantly. Well, that opens doors because a lot of people are after a while. the same people who look at those posts look at this and go, wait, that Andrea person, I seen her talk about this, or I seen her, like people who do reviews on IT books or reviews on channels, all that. Not to mention it's free because it's all open source. Those are ways to get your name out there, and you got to put your name out there to tell people, hey, I am actively looking. Because you say
Yep.
I got my resume out there, it's not going to be enough. You tell people, because I might think you tell me today I'm looking, and 3 weeks later I don't hear from you at all or see any posting. I'm assuming, well, you probably already got a job. Now you got to keep, hey, I am still looking. It's persistence.
It is. It is. You know, the squeaky the what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Yeah,
So,
yep.
you know, it's one of those things. If you're not making your name known, and this is something I have preached on this show time and time again, you have to learn and fail in public. But you also have to comment and let people know who you are. And to your point, one of the things I have seen our great Mrs. Tarver do and Andrea do as of late is every single day I see a share, a repost, or something, but it comes with a comment. It comes with why this has value and what it means
Mhm.
to them. And even more so is now Andrea is at the point of getting people who are coming after her because she's sharing other jobs. She's sharing other opportunities that people can find. And I'm like, anybody who is coming after you for sharing job opportunities is just looking for a fight because I do it. My bosses do it. She does it. That is what we do in industry is if we're not looking for work, we're sharing work for others to find the opportunity. So anybody that is coming after Andrea, you might as well be coming after the rest of the industry that actually fucking cares about people because that's what we do. And Misha, to your point and to your question, get your name out there. Keep posting, keep commenting, let people know who you are. If you are not active on LinkedIn, on more than just my posts, your people don't know who you are. My posts don't get as much visibility as I would like. So you have to do it on more people's. You have to look at Philip Wiley and Alyssa Knight and Mike Miller and some of these huge names about what they're talking about. You start engaging, people will see, guaranteed. So yeah, that was that one. So Misha, thank you for that question because it is a valid question, very valid. Now, Javier, we got another one. This one from Kerry. Kerry's trying to make his way in, and my man is trying hard. So he did a job. I don't know if you saw in the comments. He helped someone find some files through some tax stuff as far as cybersecurity related and almost like digital forensics related. But he wants to take what he's starting in freelance and make it go further in IT and cybersecurity. Is there a way he can translate that, or how do you take what you've done and translate it to either LinkedIn or resume or whatever?
Um, well, in the open source forms, LinkedIn, resume, or whatever you have online, without giving up the keys in the kingdom, that's a tricky spot because if you put all your information out there, you pretty much give them all your source code. What's stopping somebody from replicating it? Then it's like somebody else steals your idea. You don't want that. But one thing I saw a while back at a conference I went to, a guy had created some risk management framework software. Now, granted, there's all kinds of stuff out there, but his was unique the way he had it done. And he just went out there, got a booth, and set up his booth. And it just happened to be he was right next to our booth, and I started talking like, "What's this? I know about RMF." Like he's like, "Well, I created this software myself, and I wanted to get it out there. So what I did is I came to this conference. It was like a techie Air Force conference, and he signed up, opened the booth, and put it out there. The issues with that is two sides. Number one, if you do it on these forums, yes, it's gonna be free, but you're putting in, and nothing is ever free. It's free to put your information out there, but you're gonna work because it's gonna take time to get that information out there and get the right audience that has the need. Because everything is supply and demand. You have the supply, you got to find out who's in demand for that particular supply. The other way is going to conferences or places like that where you can showcase what you have. The catch with those is that comes at a cost a lot of times, and sometimes depending on where you're at, Some of us don't have those deep pockets to have a booth. You get a little booth, and now, but it's also how you sell yourself. You could get the smallest booth and have everybody coming to you because you have something that's of interest to them.
Definitely. And but even then, what I would say is the biggest thing to me in this industry is get to conferences. All your B-sides conferences are huge because if you can go there, then you can interact and network with people. And I've even seen like B-sides Pittsburgh where they'll give hiring and looking for job wristbands. And so by doing that, you can interact with hiring managers and things like that to put your name out there and just be like, look, this is what I've done, this is who I am, this, that, the third. So if you're not actually developing something, that's fine. Excuse me, but getting to these conferences and putting your name out there, I gotta tell you, if I was in sales, I could potentially be a damn good salesperson because I don't go to conferences necessarily for the talks. The talks are great. I've been to a good bit of them, quite a few of them, and they're amazing. But I go to network. I go to sit down and just bullshit with people and see what they're doing. And that is huge, especially if you're transitioning into this field. That is how you get your local hiring managers, at the very least, to know who the fuck you are. Is just go there, sit down, and be like, you know what? Hey, I'll have a water. You having a beer? All right, have a beer, sit down, and just bullshit. Like, if you're drinking like I do, all right, I'll have a beer. He'll have whatever he's having. Or she's having whatever she's having. Fuck it. You do you. But those conversations are so vital. That's why I love conferences. Because I can go there and I can network with so many people. Hell, I've gone there and turned down Google because they won't pay me California salary living where I live.
Yep.
And that's my take. Like, you're going to pay me California salary while I live in PA, or I ain't working for you. Well, no. Okay, then I ain't working for you.
Okay, so we mentioned conferences. Let me give you an idea of or analogy. You know how corporates when they do their business, but they tell you the most of their actual business gets done on the golf course, not actually in the
Mhm.
offices. In cyber, most of our business, when you go to a conference specifically, is done at the fireside chats. So those
Yep.
chats that happen that aren't actually on the website, that happen, the lunch and learns, the stuff that the parties you go to after the conference, that's where you actually meet folks because they're more open to talk to you. It's more casual, and they'll tell you all kinds of stuff, and that's where you find you'd be surprised the people you run into at some of these parties. They're like, yeah, I work for such and such company, and we're looking for somebody, and you're like,
Yep.
and over a beer, because now they're like, hey, they're comfortable with you, you get hired. I mean, it's
Yep.
happened. Trust me.
Yep. That is how it's done. Kind of like I'm a smoker. I've been a smoker for I don't even know how many years now. And so much work, so much stuff got done at the smoke pit because the United States made it illegal to smoke anywhere near a fucking building. So we're gonna go get ostracized and go smoke a million feet away at some random smoke pit. That is where work got done. Even in the army, in the military, that is where work got done. We would sit there, have a cigarette, and bullshit, and be like, "Hey, look, homie, did you do this? No, hey, look, I need this, this, and this done. Are you able to handle it? Yeah, I got you. I got you." That's where you made your friends. That's where you did things. So, as messed up as it is to say that your parties, your bars, your smoke pits, all this stuff is where work got done. But the fact remains is even if you're not a smoker or a drinker, going to these places and interacting with these people that do these things, you will find it so much more personable. And these people are so much more willing to do work for you because you're there interacting with them as a person off hours, technically, because they're smoking and taking their break versus just coming to them as like, hey, yo, hey, I know you're doing it. Can you do this for me? They're going to look at you like, no, I can't. But you talk to them out when they're on a break. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I got you. Let me get back to the office. 15 minutes. It'll be done. No problem. Same with hiring. You talk to someone and be like, hey, man, you're hiring, right? So what positions? Look, I've done this, this, and this on my off time. Is that worth anything? dude, I am looking for that exact thing. Got you. Send me your resume. Let's talk. We'll work this out. But if you don't do that at a conference, you don't make those connections, you got to force your way into it on LinkedIn or some other social media platform. It is so much easier in person. Like it sucks to say because so many of us are introverts, but you got to put yourself out there and just talk to these people in person. It's so much easier to find work that way because so much of our work is client facing. All right. We got so many questions here. I am loving you people tonight. Loving you people. All right. So what was next? Carrie. Nope. That was the one we just did recently. So Andrea coming in. What cybersecurity rules do you see trending more now with the current threat landscape? Ooh, Javier, you're in a good role. You should know this shit, homie.
Yeah. Believe it or not, one of the key ones that I've seen, it kills me because everybody like it's up and coming. Like, dude, that's not up and coming. It's already been here. But as far from a hiring perspective, know your audience. It's cloud computing, which I'm like, cloud computing's been around, but for some reason I've noticed that lately that everybody's been like very focused on it. Cloud security specifically, because and this stems from when cloud came on the scene. Everybody was like, "Oh, we'll take all our stuff and put it in the cloud, and we're good." And
Yeah.
security at the time, just like regular security, when IT came on board, nobody thought, "Oh, we got to secure this stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, you do." So cloud security is starting to be a big thing, a big push across the board. But I can see, besides that one, because that's the what I call a low hanging fruit, because I think that's attainable. But the other ones that are coming in the path is going to be your typical your AI, your machine language, um, don't let the acronym scare you because it's already here. Because Alexa, and all these other devices are listening to you. I mean, not to get all conspiracy theory, but all that's here. But the technology and securing that technology is where the cybersecurity side of the house is gonna. I see a shift going that route. So hey, if you could look into what the study coming up, those are the things I would say to look into. Get your basics down, but start looking at that as to make yourself marketable and stay in the game.
Yeah, I agree. Cloud security, as much as I despise the cloud, anybody that knows me knows I fucking hate the cloud. It is just somebody else's computer. I like to own my data. I want my own hardware, my own servers. I want to know where shit's at. And yes, it's probably more expensive sometimes, but fuck it. I have more control. I can put my own security around it. I can do what I want. That's just me. However, due to cost and pricing and the way things are, yes, the cloud is where it's at. A lot of people do not understand the shared security model. If you can
Hmm.
understand shared security, if you can understand the Azure platform or AWS or GCP or DigitalOcean and how these things work and how people stand up full blown infrastructure, firewalls, file servers, web servers, application servers, everything, then at least having that basic understanding of what is necessary and that, oh, if I'm in Azure, I just need to set up my virtual machine and I'm good. Or I'm in AWS, I just need to stand up an EC2, it's secure. Or an S3 bucket and we're good. Yo, bullshit. AWS did not implement guaranteed non-public S3 buckets by default until this year. Every S3 bucket that was stood up prior to 2023 and actually more recently this first quarter was open to the public. So if you did not secure it, then it was open to everybody. This is how so many S3 buckets had data leakage because people would go in there and be like, oh, open S3 bucket. What do you have? Social security numbers, PHI, PII, companies, stuff, like you name it, it was there. And this is why understanding this infrastructure and how it all works together is so vital. So before we continue, I do want to give a shout out. So we got CW Infosec here. Thanks for joining us this evening. KevTech showed up. ITPR. Natalie B is here. Let's see who else showed up. Akira. Akira, I don't know who you are. This is the first time ever seeing you in chat. Thank you for joining us this evening. But they say, hello, everyone. Thank you for this live. I'm looking to transition in cybersecurity compliance, specifically PCI DSS. So for my GRC friends and family, talk to Akira, please. Akira, get on LinkedIn, reach out to myself, Javier, or so many others. I will get you in touch with some GRC people. I know some damn good GRC people, and they'll get you the heads up on PCI DSS. I absolutely despise it, but it is definitely worthwhile. Too many companies use it as check the box. I learned about this last year, and I've been intrigued ever since. So, Akira, thank you. I am grateful for joining us. We're here for it. We're here for the party. So you better tune in every Friday now. We're here live every Friday at 7 p.m. Let's see. So we did Andrea's question. Oh, Javier. ITPR guy is attending his first ever B-Sides next week in Harrisburg. He's hoping for some exposure and meet some more people. I won't be there, unfortunately. It's a little too far away for me to want to drive. I really don't want to drive there. I'd rather go if I got to leave my house, I better be flying to a different state. Because I ain't trying to drive to Harrisburg. Actually, I'm not speaking. That's why I'm not there. So, congratulations, ITPR guy. I hope you meet some great people. Javier, are you going to be there? Are you going to be at B-Sides?
No, I'm down in Florida. The good thing about B-Sides is that there's B-Sides in more states. Where when my first B-Sides was actually Maryland, and I used to think, oh, that's the only B-Sides there is. And as I moved down to Florida, I realized no, they're all over the place. There's B-Sides in Florida, in Orlando. There's B-Sides in PA, in Maryland. So there's if there's not a B-Sides where you're at, make one. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's cost effective. I'd recommend anybody, especially anybody who's new to the industry, you need to attend at least one B-Sides, that way you get that feel of, wow, this is what cyber is about. Because in all the B-Sides I've ever been to, the folks that go there are truly about that cyber life, and they're truly about, hey, that they're helpful. I haven't, like we mentioned before, there are some assholes in the industry. I can honestly say I have not met any at a B-Sides.
Right. I'm sure you'll find them at Black Hat or DEF CON or something like that because of how big they are. But as far as your smaller B-Sides conferences, 100%. I don't think you'll find many elitists and assholes at a B-Sides. It's too small for them. They're too elite for us. Fuck them. I don't care. So ICPR guy, look, if you see Eric Bellardo there, tell him I say hi. I believe he'll be there and a few others that we know. So if you've seen him on chat or on the show, please do show up, say hi, let them know you're there and you're there to make it. So thank you for going there.
Go to all the booths and say hi to everybody.
Right?
Even if they don't know you.
Every booth and be like, this is my name. And if you have business cards, give it to them because you might want to make some business cards. Just saying. And I got to get you on the show. I ain't even going to lie. I need to get on the show, homie. You're going to come on and we're going to talk. Alana, I've seen more hiring managers putting their names in job postings so they can be directly contacted on LinkedIn. Javier, what you got to say to that?
Let me read that. I've seen more hiring managers putting their names in job postings so they can be. Well, I've seen that too because I stay on LinkedIn. And it's crazy because lately I've been on LinkedIn, not mostly for me, it's mostly for friends of mine and people that I mentor that are looking for jobs. So I'll go in and look, but that's been hit or miss because how honest is that? Sometimes you get some people just put their name in there, to get you to sign up. And one of the things I've noticed in people talk about this in LinkedIn, and friends of mine as well say this as well, where you contact a recruiter or somebody in LinkedIn, and they don't contact you back. I prefer somebody, if I don't have the job, at least hit me up and say we went a different route or whatever. So sometimes that name dropping in LinkedIn is hit or miss. You take it for what it's worth.
But are they? But here's the kicker: are they actually talking to the hiring manager? This is where you have to do your research. I get what Alana is saying here. If the hiring manager is putting their name in the job posting, this is the thing. Are you going forth and putting through the effort to connect with that hiring manager to then talk to them and say, hey, I applied. Look, this is who I am. I just want to touch base, talk to you a little bit, get to know you. You can get to know me. We can discuss the company. and things like that, and be like, hey, look, I applied to the job. I just want to let you know. But if you're not going through that extra step of finding out, A, are they actually in charge in hiring, or is it a recruiter that put their name in there? And B, are you actually talking to them? So, to Alana's point, I think if more people are doing this, I do know the company I work for, anytime a job posting goes out, normally my boss will actually put his name on it. He'll share it and be like, hey, we're hiring. We're doing this. We're doing X. We're doing Y. And they want you to contact them because that's how we hire 9 times out of 10 is based on who has talked to us and we know them personally, not, I saw a resume. Let's interview this person and hope that we get to know who they are. It's, I know you. I know what you've done. I know you as a person. I know you have all the skills required for the job. Call it what you want, but that is how hiring gets done these days because we have the social media to do it. I can't tell you how many times people have reached out to me and been like, hey, do you know this person? Because of how I network. And if they say they were in a class with someone that I'm friends with, I'll reach out to my friend and be like, hey, do you know this person and how'd it go? Do they actually want to learn or are they just coasting by? Like, these things happen. It's kind of like a fucked up background check. But guess what? That's what we're going to do. We want to know you're going to provide something to the organization, not just technical knowledge. Because I can teach you technical. I want to know you as a person. And if you have the passion and love for the industry that is needed to succeed in the industry, people like Andrea and Mrs. Tarver and CW Infosec and Natalie and Carrie, and I don't even know who Random Space Bill E is. Thank you for joining us this evening. That is a random ass name. But he's here. This is the shit I'm talking about, though. Alana, I guarantee you, she has more to offer than so many other people will ever give them credit for. Melissa Knight just got made CISO. Alyssa Knight's wife is now a CISO. Like, these people have so much to offer. You just got to give them a chance. That's all you got to do. Oh, what is the next question we have? Because, God, man, the comments.
While you're looking at the question, a quick shout out, Ben Loader. Thanks. I literally just sent you a text saying, hey, I'm live a few minutes, like a second ago, and he jumped on. And everybody else who showed up to support, the show, good looking out. Thank you all. Amazing.
Definitely. Oh, another question for you, Javier. Misha coming through. I love it. When someone is wanting to break into cybersecurity but has not IT experience, you're talking to like most people in cybersecurity these days. What positions do you recommend them to start with? Come on, Javier. I know you know.
The answer. You know the answer I'm giving, and it's like everybody who's in the industry hates this answer, but it's the truth. Help desk. Hate to say it, but if you have nothing and no experience and you want to break into industry, believe it or not, help desk is the place to go. Good and bad, because as sucky as help desk can be, and you're dealing with some aggressive people because they're like, fix my shit, it's your fault, it's broken. You're like, I don't even know you. But you learn a lot coming out of help desk, and you can't expect to do all the high end cool stuff if you can't even do the basics. So yeah, it's a starting point for anybody who has not had the experience, because it's not just that IT experience, it's that customer service experience. Because you got to be able to talk to folks later on, and if you didn't gain that how to interact with an aggressive crowd at the early stages, you know, don't the tears will become if you're trying to brief like senior leadership and you're there like stuttering like they're gonna look at you like, the hell's wrong with you. So I help desk is one of the number one places to get started if as far as a position, but don't expect a lot of pay either, because I mean, realistically, some folks come out, I hear this all the time, I want to come out and make six figures. Well, what do you know? I know how to spell IT. I'm like, go away, go go learn some stuff and come back to me, because that's not realistic. You have to be realistic with yourself, and everybody has to start somewhere. Trust me, I started there. um, but what made me grow was, for me, was I was like, I need to get out of this sucky job. So I need to learn more, do more, and that's what drove me to keep going forward and getting to where I'm at now. And I'm still going forward. I don't think I've hit that plateau of I'm done yet. I'm like, well, that's the good thing about cyber is that the stuff changes all the time, and when new stuff comes in, I'm hungry for it now. And I've been doing this for a minute. So everybody else who's starting out, you should have that same kind of drive. If you want to start somewhere, help desk is the place to go, my opinion.
Man, people will hate me for saying that, but I say the same shit. Uh, but there's a reason for it, because my start out in help desk helped me gain knowledge that I did not have in operating systems and networking and communication with clients and with people, and just that interaction on how things worked. That had I jumped straight from my own research, my own understanding into cybersecurity, I would have missed out on so much. I would have. Now, here's the difference. And here is where I understand why it is hard for people like Misha and Andrea and Mrs. Tarver and so many others. When you are transitioning career fields, so whether it's from HR or pharmacy or health or whatever the case may be, taking that pay cut, because let's be honest, help desk is going to be a huge pay cut in a lot of places. It is not feasible for certain situations. So I will say this to someone who wants to get into cybersecurity but cannot afford the pay cut of a help desk or sysadmin role, although sysadmins tend to pay a little bit more. Look up KevTech IT support and do his labs. At least have that understanding of how this shit works and how these systems communicate and operate. That way you can bring that knowledge to the table, that you've done it, that you know it, that you understand it. Because if you can do that, then you can prove you know your shit, at least enough for sysadmin, which usually pays 10 to 20 grand more a year. If not, that basic analyst role, that junior analyst, if you were just trying to go to cybersecurity, is probably one of the first roles you're going to do. Either that or junior pen tester, depending on the company. Those are probably the first two roles. Technical roles. Without any IT experience, learn policy and procedure, and you can do GRC all day. GRC, hands down, is the most overlooked position. Overlooked. GRC is golden. Fucking do it. I know some amazing GRC people, and it's well worth it.
GRC, auditing, legal, all those other IT cyber-ish jobs that are actually not specifically technical. There is technical in it. Don't think that it's not. However, they're not traditional technicians like what you would be constantly hands on the keyboard type stuff, but they're actually pretty lucrative. But what I tell everybody, whether it's cyber or whatever job you're in, you want to go on the policy side, on the techie side, on the managerial side, is you need to do something that you enjoy doing. Because cyber, and people, you can hate me for it if you want, but it's not for everybody. Some people go into it because they're like, oh, you make a lot of money. And then money ain't everything. If you chase money, you're never going to be happy because you go into this job thinking, oh, I'm getting paid. Because I've had folks come in here, went into programming, which I would never do. They were like C++ majors, have a degree, and then they're working at like Waterberg. I'm like, well, how is that possible? Because they didn't enjoy the job. And they were like, I'd rather just go do that and be happy than work in IT. And then they're the ones that turn around and tell everybody, IT sucks, cyber sucks. Like, no, it just wasn't for you. So now for me, techie stuff all day long. Looking at packets all day long because that's me. But I know a lot of people that don't enjoy doing what I do. So I'm just like, fine. Then I'll continue to pay the bills doing what I enjoy doing. But you need to find what's good for you, what you enjoy doing. If auditing's it, do that. GRC's it, do that. If it's not cyber at all, then don't do it. Get into something you enjoy because we
All right,
still need all that. Go ahead.
definitely. I got another long-winded question for you, because you're exactly right. But Misha coming through in the clutch with some of these good questions. And I'm going to let you go. You're going to ramble on this one, and you're going front and center. Coding and cybersecurity, how relevant are they to each other? Do not give a short answer. Please go in depth with this goddamn explanation, because it's going to be a long one.
Okay. Well, you say coding and cybersecurity. Security. How are they relevant to each other? Now, let's not get confused. There is a difference between coding and programming. Because programming is what you do if you create an operating system for like Microsoft, like Windows OS or Microsoft 10, 11, or 50, whatever that is. That's programming. We're talking about coding. Coding is, in my opinion, detrimental in cybersecurity because coding is what you're going to do um, short codes or anything that's going to be repeatable. If you don't know how to code, and regardless what language it is, whether it's PowerShell, Python, Bash, uh, VScript, you name it, but you don't want to do that stuff, then you probably want to look at something else that's non-technical in cybersecurity. Goes back to what I said previously, because a lot of stuff we do that's repetitive, if you're in cybersecurity and you keep doing it the long way and you don't do any snippets of code or click scripts is what we call them for short, that's going to make you more efficient, then you're not going to be as efficient as the next guy. And if you're not as efficient because you don't know coding, in the long run, your peers are going to pass you up. So it is, in my opinion, detrimental that you understand, at least understand how coding works. I'm not saying you got to be out there and be a code hero either or a code guru, because face it, today we have um, Python, R, Go, and all these other coding languages. Tomorrow it might be the next flavor. The one thing I notice, especially as an instructor, is that the methodology stays the same. So if you understand the process of what coding is, what it's being utilized for. There's not too many. The syntax is going to be different between one coding application to the other. However, what you're trying to do and your end state is the same. You understand the concepts of it. That's going to help you out in cybersecurity. After that, it's just picking the flavor of code that A, you like, and B, that's being utilized. Because it does you no code good to code in Python, and you get to your organization that you're working for, and they do everything in PowerShell. It'll help, but that means you're gonna have to go learn that aspect of whatever code if you want to stay relevant with that organization, or start applying for another organization that uses the code that you like doing. Because I've met some people that say, I only do VB script or whatever. I'm like, you're not, and I don't want to learn anything else. Well, guess what? When that goes away, you will go away with them. So stay relevant. Coding is needed in cybersecurity. Um, uh, it- but I would say focus on the methodology so you can stay relevant. Uh, any arguments to that?
You're gonna hate me, Javier.
Bring it.
So, up until I started with the current company I'm with, I did not need to know a single bit of code. And the reason for that was, now I understood Python. I have a Python certification from SANS. I knew Python. Python is my baby. I
One
can
bag it.
write little scripts and automations all day. I love Python. I love Bash. They're the two languages I can write scripts in all day. But they got to be little. Your longer programs, I can read them, I can fix them and understand them, but I can't write them. You get in a multi-file Python scripts, and I'm like, look, homie, you're writing an entire operating system here. I don't want to fucking deal with it.
Mm.
It's just out of my realm. But like social engineering toolkit, I've had to modify things within there. Rapid 7 loves Ruby. I believe it's Ruby. It's either Ruby or Perl,
Yes.
but I want
Yep.
to say it's
Ruby.
Ruby. I've had to fix shit with their own scripts because I had memory leaks and stuff like that was overloading systems and scripts weren't running right. I would send it to support. They took too long. My impatient ass fixed it myself. I looked at where the flaws were. So being able to understand them and read them, I think, is a necessity. Being able to write them from scratch, I would say no, because I have been able. My senior, I don't know, level 2 senior, whatever. I got an award for it, but it was an engineering job for SIM with the ESM and logarithm, and I didn't have to know a single red cent of code at all to do that job, but it was all point and click. The job before that, where I was an IT risk manager, we had Nexpos that interacted with another program, and the script was supposed to pull passwords from one to the other. The script was broken. That's where me understanding, how to read scripts and code came into play. My pen testing job that I did, guess what? All the fucking tools for a pen tester are written You don't have to know code to run a pen test. It helps if you get into a system and need to modify the code to bypass EDR, but it is not a necessity. There are so many ways to research it and find out your ways around it. And if you know Metasploit, MSF Venom, or anything else, you don't fucking need to know how to code. You can figure it out. Red Teamer is different. Red Team and pen test, two different things. Don't get me started. The job I'm in now, we automate a lot of shit. So Python, PowerShell, Bash, all that stuff comes into play. Go, Rust, all these newer languages are going to come into play. So it depends on the role you're looking for. Do I think it is a necessity? No. But do I think it helps? Yes. Two different things. Necessity, no. Help, yes. That's just my thing. But saying that, I do have some very important news here. Oh, I can't wait to let it be known, because Mrs. Tarver is going to go purple hair because she wants to, A, and B, I told her to. I'm going to just say that. I told her to. She needs to go back to purple hair. Little secret, I just landed my first cybersecurity gig as a cyber teaching assistant. Oh, that is such a good one. So, for those that don't know, she was on my show not just but a few weeks ago. If you haven't watched it, you need to go watch hers too, because she's amazing. And I can't wait to see her with purple hair. Currently, I did get to see it because she was nice enough to send me the last time she had purple hair. But I want to see when she changes it again, because purple hair looks good on her. I ain't going to lie. It does.
Congratulations.
Congrats. I'm not going to butcher your name. We're just going to say Mrs. Tarver again, because that's what I'm going to refer to you as that from now on. And you can hate me or not, I still love you.
You know what? Here. I'll drink to that.
There we go. What else do we got? So we got so much here. God, y'all people been active in chat. I can't keep up. Holy crap. I can't keep up so much. All right. So we've got 7:57. We got a few minutes. Oh, damn. All right. So first one I can see right here. Zach, this is going to be the last question of the evening, people. We got shit to do tonight. What are the most crucial skills and things to know when trying to get into the cybersecurity field? You're going solo.
There is no one crucial thing or magic pill or magic bullet, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be crucial to cybersecurity field. There's going to be multiple, especially if you want to be relevant in the industry and amongst your peers. So it goes without saying, you need to know your stuff. So if you're new, know your basics so that you can't get advanced if you don't know your basics. So aside from the cybersecurity and the technical stuff, because you can learn all that, the other crucial skills that you need to have is your soft skills. Know your audience. If you're speaking to the CEO of a company, do not talk IT to him, because after a while, or her, because they're not going to know ones and zeros. You need to make your conversation relevant so that you are still relevant to that organization. So know your audience, have those soft skills, and marry them up with your IT technical skills. And you need to present you. Who are you? And what are you bringing to the table? I think those are going to be the skills that are going to be more crucial in the cybersecurity field, because we can get a robot to replace somebody, but we can't get you to replace you in this industry. Just saying.
Oh, man, you're absolutely right. And that really is the gist of it, right? Crucial skills, it really depends on where you're going in cybersecurity. Those soft skills, those people skills, those whatever the fuck you want to call them. Eric had his own term for them. It is something that are more vital to the industry than we give it credit for. Because again, we're all introverts. Well, not all of us. I'm not. I like to say I am, but I'm not. Everybody fucking knows. If you come talk to me, I'll talk to you. Let's just have a beer. But so many are introverts and don't understand how to write and or speak to people. That is vital in this industry. Absolutely vital, especially if you want to move up. Now, you want to work for some FANG company out there that you don't have to interact with people and all you do are you're in a basement typing on a computer all day, fucking go for it. Go do that job. You do you, boo-boo. I'm not going to judge you. That's you. But me personally, I think to make the most impact, to make the biggest difference, to be able to really, really excel in this field, you need those people skills. You need to be able to interact with organizations and the company you're with and talk to IT and talk to HR and talk to sales and talk to your executives and be able to articulate emails in the written word and your reports and everything else. And if you can't do that, then it's going to make it very hard. Technically, we can all learn the technical skills. So if the question is about technically what you need to know, depends on what side of the spectrum you want to go on. Do you want to be a pen tester or do you want to be a blue teamer? Either way, you need to know both sides, but one's going to be a mile wide and an inch deep, and the other one's going to be about a quarter-mile ride and really deep. Like, it just really depends on what avenue you want to go. That's the kicker. Purple team's where it's at in understanding both sides of the fence. But where you want to concentrate your efforts is where it's going to go deep and where you really need to know the technology, the infrastructure, and how everything talks. Just my 2 cents. Or you can be like some of the other amazing people I know and go into GRC and understand ISO 27001, PCI DSS, CMMC, and all the other fucking regulations out there, including the new one that the administration just released that's going to be for, infrastructure and governmental organizations and shit like that. So just how I see things. Again, I'm one person. Javier's one person. We give our opinions, and you fucking do what you want with them. Otherwise, Javier, give me some final words, homie.
Final words. I can't stress it enough. I'm really beside myself with all the folks that jumped on. I mean, I'm recognizing some of these names. Shout out, like I said, to Ben, Andrea, Walt. My cyber family, my military family, and my actual family, because they're all the ones that you were talking about that were on LinkedIn and some of the other social medias trying to chime in and actually join the show, and not just for the support for myself, but as well for you for you as well, and for all of you out there, keep pushing, don't stop, especially you got a passion for this. The door will open. It's just like like they say, if it takes you years to become a millionaire, does it really matter? It's a marathon, not a race. So you eventually you'll get there. But stay in the know, stay in these forums, keep chatting, and hopefully the only thing I hope that happens is that one of the doors that opens is happens to be one of the ones that I held open. Other than that, you know, don't stop and keep seeing this show because I'm like just like I attended before and I recommend other people like when Andrea came on the show, I'm gonna keep seeing your show and put your name out there. Branding, you know. And if you got any questions, reach out. Hey, reach out to me. I'm part of cyber here to help. How we say I'm with the government. I'm here to help.
Don't say that. The government's not here to help. Don't lie to me.
But you know,
But
that
look, I was in the army. Them motherfuckers ain't trying to help nobody. They don't give a goddamn. Officers be out for themselves all the damn time. But warrant officers different. They just don't show up. But officers,
don't need to.
they don't care about anything but the OER. But anywho, look, hey, it's been an amazing show, Javier. Thank you for joining us and answering so many amazing questions in chat. Thank you to everybody that joined us in chat. It has been an amazing episode. Here's the thing. If you have not seen Andrea's episode, Mrs. Tarver's episode, Misha's episode, so many others that have been on here, Carrie, and so many other people, please go back and watch because I guarantee you, you will find people that are trying to do amazing things in this industry. Get their names out there. That's what's important. I've made a name for myself. I know who I am and people know me. They don't know these people. Let them know who they are because that is what is vital. Otherwise, if you look down in the description below, you'll find all the ways to support the channel, support me, and support what we do here. That includes, you know, whether it's sharing videos, whether it's my podcast, whether it's Walk With Me, no matter what it is, you will find it, merchandise and everything else. Finally, for all of those that have supported me this week while I was dealing with the shit that I was dealing with, thank you. If you have not watched the reel, if you have not watched the short, if you don't know who I am, I've been dealing with a lot of shit. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. You are real, and you've been there for me. Otherwise, I love you all. It's been an amazing episode. Thank you once again for tuning into the show, and I hope I see you all next week, because we ain't done yet, and we're going to keep them coming. So, y'all take care. You have a great evening. Have a great Freya's Day, and I'll see you in the next one.